Welcome to the Inspired Father podcast, where we celebrate the extraordinary journey of fatherhood. I'm your host, Wesley Rhoads. Join us as we bring heartfelt, empowering stories from fathers all around the world, the joys and challenges to the triumphs and lessons learned. This podcast is a beacon of inspiration for every dad out there. So let's embark on that adventure of fatherhood together and get inspired. Welcome to the Inspired Father podcast. Today, a very special guest, Jason Quinn, rescue swimmer, father, and husband. Jason, thank you so much for coming on. If you will do me a huge favor and introduce yourself.
Man, thank you so much for having me on. This is a total pleasure. It's an honor to be here, really. So Jason Quinn, I originally from Massachusetts, joined the Coast Guard when I was 18 years old. Went to Washington, D.C., North Carolina, Kodiak, Alaska, Humboldt Bay, California. Got out, went to another company, and then traveled all around with them around the world. Ended up in Saudi Arabia, and that's where I am now with my beautiful wife.
Whoa.
Along the way, I had kids.
That's fantastic. So you're in Saudi Arabia. That's super cool. I want to go right back to Massachusetts. Okay. And you were living in Massachusetts when you decided to join the Coast Guard?
Yes.
Is that because you had trouble? Is that because you had trouble with driving?
No. I didn't. No. Funny is, I didn't want to go to college. I had no intention. Like I thought about it, and then it was like, oh, it's like grade 13. I don't want to do that. Let me do something cooler. So my uncle was in the Coast Guard, and he was in charge. He was the captain of Boston at the time, the whole district or whatever they call it now. And he's like, hey, you want to come in and hang out with me for a day? I was like, skip school, come hang out with you? Yes, please.
Absolutely.
So he took me in, and while I was there, it was kind of cool because I ended up like doing some basic stuff. All right, hey, this is what this guy job, or this is what this job is. This is what this job is. And then I end up on the boat with a couple bosun's mate and a couple other guys, and we're on this little, like, it was no bigger than a 25-foot, maybe a 32-foot boat. It wasn't anything crazy. We're cruising through Boston Harbor, and while we were there, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I'm cruising through Boston on the Coast Guard boat. Well, then we come back to the dock, and something comes over the radio, like a mayday, and I kind of caught the gist of it, but I didn't totally catch it. And they're like, dude, you got to get off the boat. I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? They're like, we got a SAR case. You got to get off. I'm like, what? I want to go with you. What are you talking about? Yeah. Get off the boat. And I'm like, all right. And at that moment, I'm like, I definitely want to do this. So that's kind of where I started. But,
epic. Yeah, we used to live in Kittery and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Portsmouth, yeah. And people from down in Boston had, they were referred to by a certain name that alluded to how they drive.
Massholes. Totally.
Yeah, that's it. You nailed it. So I figured maybe you had trouble with driving behind the wheel of a car, so you chose boats instead.
Yeah, no. And even at that, I went to helicopters, so it didn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. The car thing didn't work out. Boat thing didn't work out well.
Yeah. Let's go to the air.
We'll go straight to the air. That's awesome. Yeah. So, like I told you, I'm a helicopter pilot, and I do some interesting stuff. I live a pretty cushy life as far as the helicopter flying that I do is concerned. It's not so hard. Just fly in circles and carry a camera around or train students. That's fun too.
There's some cool people that do some cool stuff with that. So stand by.
Yeah, I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit about that. So that's super cool. And then you have children.
I do.
If you wouldn't mind sharing, gender, ages, names, that'd be great.
So it goes Haley, Jalen, and Cameron. They're in alphabetical order, H, J, K. We skipped over nice. I didn't like Ingrid. Sorry for anybody Ingrid out there. No, I just it's kind of a terrible joke. But so they are currently, they're older now. They're 24, 23, and 22. My first two daughters were born 1 year and 1 week apart.
Woohoo!
Yeah, right.
Irish twins.
Almost. They're 1 week outside of it. So I actually did research on this. Irish twins have to be inside the year. So we missed it by a week. Cameron's our youngest, and she is another like 18 months younger. I think it's 18. Let's see. Let me do the math here real quick. So December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, here we go. 6 more months. So 18 months younger, and she's our baby. And
nice.
But it's kind of funny as they grew up how things transpired when we'll talk about it later, but it's yeah.
That's
awesome.
3
girls. Yeah.
That is so cool. And then so this is being the Inspired Father podcast. What do you hope that other men and fathers can take away from our conversation today?
Oh gosh. The biggest thing is be there in their lives. Little girls need their dad. They just do. You always hear like father, like son, like mother, like daughter.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there is a special place in a father's heart for a daughter. And
that's right.
I mean, I can't truly express to you how much I love those girls, because I miss them all the time. And when you come home, there's nothing like a daughter hug. It's just cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
So. We have twins, 1 boy, 1 girl, Sebastian and Serafina, and nice. The boy is 19 minutes older. And but yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that, a father-daughter relationship, even though they're only a year old. But my motivation for doing this podcast is I figure I've got 2, so I don't have like the first one to figure it out with and then like fix it for the ones down the line. Like I gotta get it right from the beginning. So I figure I'm gonna go and seek out the wisdom of other dads and share it with others and hope that all ships rise in a high tide, right? So we put these conversations out there and hopefully everybody's better for it. What does it mean to you to be an inspirational father?
Oh gosh. The short version is just do it right. Tell the truth, do it right. And the worst part about that is it's actually, I shouldn't even say do it right. Try to do it right. Because we're human and we're men to make it even worse. So we're gonna screw some stuff up. But if you can own your mistakes, if you can come to them with, let's say, and I had to do this quite often. Well, I don't know if I'd ever admit that I guess I just did, but is come back to them and be like, you know what? I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I owe you an apology, and I'm sorry that I either overreacted and that actually changed throughout them growing up as well, just based on different scenarios. But is that inspiration. So the inspiration, right? That's the question. Got to make sure. So to be an inspiration to them was owning my own mistakes and then try to lead by example, and to let them know that like it's okay to make mistakes and you can still move on. God,
I love that.
So many scenarios. So many. Oh, those freaking kids. I love them.
I've been studying a little bit on education, like early childhood education, like, and then all the way through, high school, college, that kind of thing. And they talk about how school, they in quotes, right? Talk about how in school you kind of are punished for making mistakes. And so it kind of takes that creative problem solving side of things out, because kids are afraid to make mistakes, because if you make a mistake, then you get a poor grade on an exam, and then that kind of haunts you for the rest of your career as in education. So it's interesting that you talked about owning your mistakes and then showing them that it's okay to make mistakes. And this is something that is really that hits me really close, because I feel like as men, it's very easy to stay in your lane and only show your family when you're not going to like go out and do something that you're going to make yourself look like an idiot. You're going to like do the things that you know how to do. And so your kids never really see you fail. because they only see you doing the things that you're naturally, or you've learned to be good at. And so they're like, well, dad never fails at this. So I'd like to set something up with, I have like a thought of using aviation in particular and having, a father child aviation event where like father, daughter, father, son come and learn how to fly a helicopter. And that's a humbling experience for most people, even pilots, even airline pilots come into a helicopter, and it's humbling. But then they could show their kids that, like, I'm not good at everything, and I have to like put myself out there and learn this new skill, and it's not easy. And it shows them that it's okay to make mistakes, and then that's just part of the learning process.
Yeah, totally. I actually, you know what? Actually, you reminded me of a story of a time when later in life, I had gone through my paramedic program, and at one point I had failed like an exam or two exams, whatever it was, and like legitimately failed. And whatever happened, I ended up having to redo the test, but like I came back to them. I'm like, oh, this sucks. So, and I let them know, and because they were struggling in school or whatever it was at the time, said, this doesn't, you got to work hard for this. And apparently I wasn't working hard enough. So it's kind of a lesson, not only for me, but to give to them as well. And I don't know if they remember that, but I certainly do. So
yeah, especially if you're used to, just kind of crushing it every time you go in to do something, and then all of a sudden you fail at something. That'd be tough. And then to admit it to your children as well, because they kind of see you as this hero, and then it's like, I'm not all the time, just most of the time.
Totally.
But what do you think your wife would say if we asked her what makes you an inspirational father?
Oh gosh. What I think she would say. She has a whole
Can
lot.
she hear us right now?
You know what? If she can, she's upstairs. So I don't.
Okay, cool.
All right. Gosh, I don't know. So for my work, when the girls got older, actually, even throughout the military, being deployed. So I would be gone from time to time. When I got out of the military, I was gone 2 weeks at a time, sometimes 4 weeks at a time. And I try to be even schedule. It never worked out that way. But when I was home, I tried my best to be at everything, every sporting, every practice, if I could go. Sometimes the coaches wouldn't want me to go. I would come into the classroom for the day. Whatever I could do to be with them, to show presence, I would. And some of my fondest memories are being in school with them, running around on the playground with them and their friends, and all of a sudden they come up to me later and like, Dad, I don't want to share you with anybody, all my friends are here and they want to hang out with you too. And I'm like, I can't stop them. But it was so fun. So I would try to be in the moment, and that was from elementary school right through middle and high school. And even high school, for our middle daughter, they're like, God, all these stories are coming back, this is great. Jalen had been nominated for homecoming queen, and
right on.
I went as her security guard. So full on suit, sunglasses, little earpiece, totally. Walking through, I stood behind her in the gym as she's like walking up, and it was great. It was so
Were you armed or not?
Oh God, no. School. First of all, it was California, and second of all,
you had the rubber ducky.
Yeah, no. Although that would have been pretty funny.
You guys call them rubber duckies there too?
No.
You know what I'm talking about there, the rubber M16 or
the little they're like pellet soft guns, right?
No, they're just trainers. They're literally made of rubber. Like you can, they weigh 6 point however many pounds. And it's just for you to carry around. And
no, that would not go over well.
It's like a basic training thing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Got it. Cool. Or like drilling ceremony, they'll use those sometimes too.
Yeah. No,
that's never. Funny. That's so funny. Yeah. So back to what your wife would say about you being an inspirational father. What do you think? I
think she would just say that that I would try to be there for them and that would be the inspiration. It was
nice.
We were apart. Like when I was gone for work, it was a phone call, maybe every night, a quick 30 minutes on the phone with the girls. Hey, how are you? How was your day? How was school? But a conversation only goes so far over the phone, and it just doesn't work. You have to be there in person, and the more you're there in person, the better. I mean, I left a lot of opportunities to make sure I was a good dad.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And because of the ages of your daughters, I imagine the distraction wasn't as big, but with guys that I've talked to now with younger kids, because of having smartphones, it's such a distraction. And so like, even though you're there, sometimes you're not there. That's been another big one that's come up, is like, even though you're present, you're not really present. And so that's been another thing that other dads that I've talked to have said. I just need to put the phone down and be present with my kids.
Totally. I would run into that as well, especially with like work stuff, because you'd end up getting on the phone or you get up work. And now at the same time, there's a flip side of that too, because there are times when we would go out even as a family, and we'd be doing almost like games, or we'd be calling people out, like calling each other up. I don't believe you. Look it up. And now all of a sudden we're at the dinner table, Google searching. Who can Google search the fastest of whatever the topic was?
I love that.
I don't believe it. You know? So you kind of use that a little bit to your advantage, because when the girls got into high school, smartphones and all that jazz did come. School was actually using phones as a way for research and to help with having a calculator. So instead of, it seemed to work. So, and at one point or another, there's no getting around it. I remember getting mad at the girls at one point when they were in high school, and you guys lose your phone. And oh, good Lord. You would have thought it was like end of days. What?
Like, you just take their chargers.
Yeah, totally. It was hilarious.
Take their chargers and like let them like sweat out the slow death.
No, see, kids they're savvy with that stuff. They'll borrow a friend's school to get a full charge. It's like, no, pull the phones anyway.
I imagine that would be tough for sure. Yeah, I had Snake on my TI-83. That was about the extent of my fun in class. You know, those old scientific calculators.
The big ones.
The big ones. There's like bricks.
Right. That was like what, Texas Instruments.
Yeah, the Texas Instruments one.
It slides like the cover in the front
what I'm talking about.
Kids nowadays, they have no idea. Not a clue.
I have some good stories with those. All right, let's lighten things up right off the get-go. Hit us with your best dad joke.
Oh my gosh, my favorite. Absolute favorite.
Yes.
All right. So there's a couple of them, but the question is, what is big, red, and eats a lot of rocks?
Ooh. Big, red, eats rocks. UH-60? No, I'm kidding.
Ready?
I don't know. Go for it.
A big red rock eater, silly.
Oh, that's awful. Big red rock eater.
The greatest part about that joke is no matter how many times you say it, people look at it like that's stupid and then start laughing. So it works every time.
Works 70% of the time, every time, or something
that's
like
that. That's my favorite. Yeah. So.
All right, so I got to share with you a really funny thought that I had the other day. I was giving the twins a bath, and I was like in the back of my head, I'm thinking about this interview with you and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so freaking funny. I'm like washing the kids, right? Like dumping water on them, like playing around, toys everywhere. We have like a little helicopter in the floaty helicopter. And I was like, how funny would it be if we had G.I. Joe, Jason Quinn, Rescue Swimmer edition with Jayhawk and like electric winch, and like we could have that like in the bathtub, like send Jason down to the bathtub with the litter out of the helicopter, and like yes. And then we could like turn the shower on and like have it be raining down, you know?
Oh my God. That's kind of funny, but no.
we need you as a G.I. Joe action figure.
All right. We'll call somebody. No.
Coming to Amazon soon.
You might lose money. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hey, it could be a huge hit. We don't know.
You know what? You could be. Could be.
And then no better way to introduce yourself or introduce your kids to search and rescue.
Yeah, right.
Instead of Scuba Steve, we've got what can we call you? Like Rescue Quinny, or I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, yeah.
Swimmer
Quinny Swimmer.
Yeah.
Rescue Quinny. I don't know. Rescue Quinny.
Do you ever feel like you're drowning in your own bathtub?
No. Oh, that wasn't for me. That was for. Oh God, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming like you're drowning in your own bathtub. Slogan. Oh yeah.
Try the Quinny Swimmer.
Oh my God. Deploying from a little helicopter. And
then it's like what? Back and left.
Yeah.
Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Back and left, forward, right. Yeah. Hold position. Unless you're in Europe. Steady now.
We could have that like coming out of the speaker in the helicopter. It'd be sick.
Oh my God. That's kind of funny. All right. Action figure. Yeah,
done. So I remember so you do podcasts as well for the audience who's not familiar with you. And I listened to, I can't remember who it was, but you always ask like about your first rescue. And I don't remember the guest, but he was talking about his first rescue, and he's like watching his daughter like go out into the surf, and he's like, him and his wife are just like hanging out. He's like watching this unfold, and then she gets carried out by Riptide, and that's just so happens to be his first rescue as well. I was like, oh, that's crazy.
You know what? I'm drawing a mind blank at who that was too. He's a Coast Guard swimmer. I know that for sure.
Yeah. And then the other one, there was another one with the baby that there's a chick, like a girl and a baby out there, and then like she just gets smashed by a wave, and baby gets ripped out, and like he catches her.
Bob McMahon was that one.
That was wild.
The reason I remember that one being Bob was Bob McMahon specifically is because he was a helicopter pilot, and he was just on the beach chilling, and he saw it all happen. He's like, "Oh, baby's coming by me," and like, "Oh, look, here's a foot. Oh, look, baby."
Did he deliver the baby back to her that way? Like,
totally.
Onto her by the foot?
You go. Did you lose this, man?
Wild.
Yeah, the podcast, Real Rescue, the Real Rescue, RESQ, Real Rescue podcast. It's super fun, all about rescues, guys, girls doing it around the world. It's a blast. I love hearing the stories. I love bringing that all the light. It's been a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we'll link that one up so people can listen. It really is awesome. I mean, even my wife, she's not really into podcasts, but she loves your show. We put it on the car. It's like,
give your wife a little heart for me.
Will do. The kids love it too. They go right to sleep.
Oh, that's terrible. Although they're one, that's a good thing.
It is
good. Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Anytime we need to go to sleep, just Real Rescue, bam, out.
That's not helping the sales pitch at all.
Hey, this is for dads, man. You'll get all the views.
All right, cool.
They're just gonna have that on loop all night now.
Excellent. It's all the time.
It's on all the time. Absolutely. So I like to talk to guests about how they take work and then apply that to life. Like, what lessons are you able to take away from work, whether that be like on a day-to-day, and then apply it as a father and husband, and or vice versa. I know for the Army guys that I've talked to, there's lots of lessons that they can take from fatherhood and apply it to, young troops, because they are children.
Yes, very
and
much
embody that often. So are there any lessons that you've taken from work and applied to fatherhood, and vice versa, fatherhood and applied it to work?
So yes, so from work to fatherhood was a lot of the discipline that the
Yeah.
military brought on, which was nice. You would be like very regimented in the house.
Is this for you or for the kids?
A little bit of everything. And I
Okay.
say that because there are, all right, so every morning the lights would come on at a certain time,
Mm-hmm.
breakfast would go, you know, every night was a specific bath time, bedtime. Like it was time. It was, and then on the occasions you would have the nights that, oh, we're gonna have a party. You get to stay up late tonight. Make it a special occasion. So that way you're in the routine. One of the things that I enjoyed watching the girls is having the routine side of things. So then when the abnormal would come up, Super Bowl party, or maybe it's a kids' New Year, because I had that too. Like all their girlfriends are over, and
Yeah.
I eventually at one point I think there were 15 kids in the house and all
Nice.
there for a sleepover, and I'm like, cool, that's awesome. And you know,
Yeah.
all the kids are out watching the ball drop. We get little sparkling, not champagne stuff, but the bubbly whatever, and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all cheers and yeah, happy New Year, you know. But those moments make it even more exciting because it's out of the routine.
Yeah.
But the next day you go right back into the routine. You're like, okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Homework when they got home from school, it was, or actually it was when I got home from. So when they got home from school, they had some time to play and hang out. And then when dinner was cooking, homework. You're at the dinner table. You're at the counter.
Okay.
Again, one of my favorites, and I say one of my favorites because I had a blast with it, is as they were in, let's see, probably second, third, and fourth grade, they would have spelling tests. And
Yeah.
I'd be sitting up and I'd have the words and I'd be drilling them. Like they're sitting on the counter. I'm like, how do you spell this? How do you spell that? And
Yeah.
they're running through, and I'm like, nope, do it again. Go back,
Yeah.
start it again. But we
second grade spelling, you're like, finally something that I can excel at.
Oh God, yeah. Because as soon as it gets to math, I'm like, forget about it.
Yeah. There you go.
6th, 7th, 8th grade math, I'm out. I'm done. It's already
like,
gone.
honey, we need help.
Yeah.
That's funny. So every day, while dinner's cooking, they're at the dinner table doing homework.
Correct. Until dinner was ready, and then we'd clean the table, get your books out or put it away. Let's have dinner. I would try to have dinner as a family. You know,
awesome.
I think that would be the big thing from work to, and then actually exercise. So I would do a lot. Just my job required me to be fit. So if I had downtime, we would go run, we would go play, we would go move. And very rarely was I one to sit in front of the TV with the girls. Like we would have movie night, or we'd watch a show before the girls would go to bed. On occasion, we would eat dinner on the couch watching our favorite TV show at the time. As a matter of fact, it was Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was a Nickelodeon show. Shout out to, because I absolutely loved it. The girls loved it. It was a super cute, fun show, and we get all excited. All of us, we get all excited. Oh, we got a new episode coming out. Let's have dinner over on the couch tonight. Oh yeah, and they would get all pumped up, stuff like that.
Nice.
But that would, like I said, from work side, keeping things clean. You know, the office always needed to be cleaned up, so you come home, you do that. That's I think that's kind of the standard stuff again from work side. Reverse that from home to work. I'll agree with your guys, and it was interesting as you're raising a family, you're raising kids, you turn into not only the parent, but next thing you know, you're a coach, or so now you're coaching a team. Well, all the same principles that you're using to coach a team now work in the work environment. You're just with older guys, and all of a sudden you're the team leader of doing this, and this. Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And it's interesting to listen to like a lot of different books, Jocko included, with Extreme Ownership. Love that book.
Me as well.
But yeah, it's awesome. But all of his stuff that he talks about is like, man, it works in just kids' sports. And
I know, right?
all the dynamics are very similar. So I was like, oh wow, this worked here on the kids' team. Let me bring it to work and be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, look at it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're not treating everybody like they're 5, but
it depends on what branch you're in.
True statement. True statement. But at the same time, it's like, all right, hey, this is what we got to do today. Let's get it done. And
yeah,
it was super fun. So I think that's where it went the other way. And even still, I mean, I think about a lot of that team building stuff that we did in sports and bring it into now. So
yeah,
it's good.
Epic. I love it. And then you live like a super interesting, or you have lived a super interesting life as far as career is concerned, with just being involved with search and rescue, Coast Guard, military. Like we were talking about earlier, when dads get outside of their comfort zones. So a lot of us have jobs that don't really force us to like push the limits all that often. And I know a lot of us, like as boys, just love the outdoors and being outside, but then a lot of guys lose that as they get older, have kids. And it can come from just that little bit of feeling of insecurity around being in the woods and not knowing exactly what to do. So living the way that you've lived, and just because of your profession, what are some basics and some resources for men to feel confident in the outdoors, whether it be camping, on the water, so that they know if they get into a hairy situation that they've got the basics down where they can handle it to some point?
So yes. Get outside, get camping, get hiking. We did it all. We had a blast. I mean, from when the girls were young. As a matter of fact, I specifically remember after they turned 10, actually it might even a little earlier than that. It was the first time that dad and daughter, and it was only one daughter, they had to turn a certain age, went camping alone.
Oh,
and
cool.
It was just the two of us that went out. And don't get me wrong, we were like car camping, so it was drive up to the spot, but we're gathering wood together, we're starting a fire together. And it wasn't just like, oh, let's get a bunch of paper and a lighter. No. This was, I would pull out the cotton ball Vaseline. You need to make a spark to get the fire. You need tiny little kindling to make the bigger fire. And then once that happens, now you pull out the hot dogs and the, the s'more stuff, and you do all the fun stuff. But it's that little stuff. Hey, let's set up a tent. I'm not doing it alone. Let's go. Like, you gotta help. So there's, just go. Take your kids out. Go have fun with them. Remember that they're gonna experience everything for the first time with you. And if they're not experiencing it for the first time with you, it might be maybe the second or third. Maybe they went with a friend and a friend's family to go camping, and they're like, wow, this was kind of cool. Keep it going.
You weren't there.
Yeah, you might, but it's okay if you're not there. You can keep it going.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do the next one. You can do the next one. And then you can do the next one after that. And that's where it starts to get fun. And when you start looking at that perspective of it's the first time that they've ever gone camping, ever started a fire. For my girls specifically, they unfortunately had me as their dad. And fortunately, we're jumping off cliffs together. Like that. For me, it was, my wife is walking by laughing right now. I turned them, I would say it's probably my fault that they're a little bit extreme on one end or another. Like if there was a rope swing, we're going off it.
Absolutely.
Water skiing, wakeboarding, snowboarding.
They
got hurt with me. And I'm excited to say that because we had so much fun. They all learned how to swim from me. They might tell you it was somebody else. It's not true. It was me. I promise you it was me. So
that brings up an
let me tell you one more. This is gonna
no, please send it.
We get we're in North Carolina, and
which
we're
is where
going
I live,
hiking.
by the way.
Oh, nice, perfect. So we're outside of Charlotte. There's
that's where I live.
You're in Charlotte?
Oh, Davidson, north.
I know exactly where you're
Norman.
Where I met my wife, Charlotte. Booyah. We'll come back to that. So we go up. Gosh, my wife would know it exactly where it was. Crowder Mountain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're up on Crowder Mountain. We had just done this long hike. The girls aren't more than like 8, 9, 10, maybe 9, 10, 11.
That is a long hike for 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, it was totally. But they got a little backpack, their little water pack, and I've got a bigger backpack. And we get up to the top of one of the cliffs or the trails, and I'm like, all right, girls, let's talk. Okay, you're in a survival situation right now. What are you gonna do?
Yes.
And I'm starting to go through all the steps, and they're looking at me. My wife has a picture. They're like, oh God, Dad, what are you talking about? I don't even care. But it'd be like that all the time. Yeah, it just
shout out to scenario-based training.
Awesome, exactly. So much fun. But we were mountain biking together. It just everything was so fun. All right, another example.
Thanks for listening to the Inspired Father podcast. Be right back after this message. You've been listening to the Inspired Father podcast. My name is Wesley Rhoads. Thanks for listening. The only thing that I could ask of you guys right now is that you subscribe and share this with somebody who you think could benefit from these messages. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show.
I'm going to keep going. I hope that's
no, please send it.
All right. So
long story long.
Yeah, it's not just being outdoors. It's not just being. It's everything, right?
Yeah.
So my daughters went with my wife to their very first concert. I wasn't there, but it was their very first. So Selena Gomez, Mel takes them to the very first concert of Selena Gomez. And they've got posters made up. They've got shirts. I love Selena. And the reaction of them, because we got it on video when Selena came on stage, was like they were seeing somebody that had been watching on TV all this time, now in person. And it was like, it was amazing, right?
Yeah.
So there it was, let's go to the first baseball game. Let's go to the first basketball game. Let's go to the first this. The first turns into you. It's no longer the first for you. It's the first for them. So now you're living the first with them. And that experience like revives me as a father. And I'm like, I want to do this more. I want to give them more. I want to do more. We've traveled. Our first cruise together was amazing. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun, and we had rules on the cruise, but it was great because it was so fun. Anyway,
that is epic.
I can 20 plus years with those girls, so we have stories.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then it won't be long, and you may have some more little ones running around here soon.
Let's just hold off on that just for a little bit. All right, I'm not ready for that.
Well, this will hopefully prep you and like remind you, like, oh yeah, well now I can.
How much fun
next level. Payback.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome. And when talking to, because a lot of men get really insecure getting outside of their comfort zone. So, like for some people, the outdoors is like no joke, like a fear. And then when you add like your kids to it, it's like another level, and it's paralyzing. They can't do it. Is there anything that you could think of for guys to get over that, especially with the outdoors, swimming, water, that kind of thing, that you can think of resources for people that could be really helpful other than, like Nike, just do it?
Find a friend, bring a friend. Yeah. Now all of a sudden you're camping in pairs. Find somebody that likes the outdoors that is willing to go with you. And then next thing, you've made like a family trip with another family, and now you've got kids who have other kids, and now all of a sudden it's a blast. So we used to do that as well, where we'd go camping out and we'd set up a couple of tents, and next thing you know, we've got another family with us that the same age. We're all sitting around the campfire having fun.
Yes.
And somebody's got a fishing pole. Somebody's got s'mores.
Yeah. And then you're going to come out the other end and realize like, okay, I was way overthinking it. Like not scary. I can totally do it. Or if you have that friend, like I have, Perry, also, he's a surfsman in the Coast Guard. Surf?
Surfman. Surfman.
Yeah.
Surfman.
Is there an S in there, or is it just surfman?
No, it's just surfman. Yeah.
Okay.
Surfman.
Got it.
I think so. Gosh,
I think he's in Astoria now, but he was in Portsmouth when I met him. But anyway, there's Easy, and then there's like Perry Easy, And like Perry says, like, oh, it's easy. It's like, Perry, like, you're Mr. Athlete. Like, this is not easy for most people. A story comes to mind. We paddled the lower Deschutes in Oregon, and we were in pack rafts, and then my wife and we got like a raft, and anyway, we had everybody's gear on our raft, and then after that trip, we bought pack rafts as well. And we're paddling down. It's awesome. It's going great. And we had like campsites picked out, but like every single one of them was already taken up. Like, so we could just keep paddle more and more and more downstream. And then the weather starts turning bad on us. And like, we find this cool little grove of trees, but the mosquitoes are terrible, right? But the weather's getting bad. But then we look across the river and we're like, over there, it is better. That is a better spot, just over there. And so we redeploy all the boats and we're crossing the river, and then all hell breaks loose. Like, the bottom just falls out, lightning with like, I don't know, 10 to 30-second delays between. And then the winds are just ripping. And we are just trying to get from one side of the river to the other. And the pack rafts, they didn't have that much trouble getting across, but my wife and I in this big raft, the wind was pushing us back up river. And so what we ended up doing is I just laid on the bow of the boat and just jammed my paddle down into the water to like lower the bow and then get the current to like take us downstream. And we finally like got to where we needed to. Like, we pulled the boats out, and then like the weather got even worse, and like we're hiding under the boats. Like, we're way some of us are under equipped, and we're like hiding under the boats, just trying to like wait this storm out. And then finally, it was probably like an hour and a half later, this storm cleared up, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a long night if this is gonna be like this for the rest of the night. And then the storm clears, and then we find this spot. It's literally like 50 to 100 feet in front of where we were. There's like this really nice sandbar, and we made our food, and all was good. But man, that was a tough situation. And that was one of those ones where like, is it easy or is it Perry easy? And we've done multiple trips with him and his wife, and they're always fun. But there's different definitions. We do snow skiing, rafting, climbing, Perfect. All that stuff with them. Yeah. Why?
So then you got to ask yourself, like, where, as you go through something like that, where are the kids looking to? They're going to look to
us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what they're going to do. So if you panic, they panic, right?
Exactly.
They're trusting in you in the protection.
Right.
Oh, Dad's got this. And it's a lot of fear on your shoulders, and you can be scared, and you can admit you're scared, but you give reassurance, like,
right.
Like, I got you.
Could be okay. Yeah.
I got you.
For sure.
Hurt you. Yeah. And if they do, then they got to answer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So that was a good one. What about when it comes to the water? So I've been around the water like growing up, and I would say I'm a very average swimmer. But I can remember a situation. We went to Hawaii. There's this place called Mermaid Beach. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not. Never been.
Okay. But it's this underground, it's a cave with a beach in it, right? And then the water comes through this porous rock, and it, does its thing. And it's basically a beach underground. You just like drop through this hole, and there's a beach down there. And it's like really, really cool. And I had a GoPro, and my cousin and his wife were with us, and my wife. And my cousin and I were like swimming around, and there's like this other little like side that you had to swim under a rock to like get over to. And so we did that. And then while we're over there, though, it's much less space, and this just crazy big wave came and like pushed into this tunnel and literally like sucked us out, right? And I'm at the mouth of this thing, like where it gets real narrow. And I'm like, holy smokes, if we get another one of those, like I'm going out of this, and I don't know what is on the other side. of this. My GoPro, like, it's off somewhere over there. But then like swam back, and thankfully I like that could have been a horrible situation.
Yep.
So when it comes to like swimming and being around the water, what resources are available for guys to keep their kids safe, whether it be at the beach in Hawaii, at the lake, whatever,
Well, the
on the
first one,
river.
yeah, first one, most important, the life jacket
Yeah.
is put them in a life jacket. At this point, none of my kids would. There wouldn't even be a second thought to put one on at the moment because they just wouldn't do it. They are
Okay.
so comfortable in the water. I think it just comes with just getting them in the water, getting them swimming, getting them having fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend dropping them into your
Mermaid
situation
Beach.
or any other like monster, even like a 3-foot swell coming in on the beach. The last thing you want to do is put your kid in there and all of a sudden they
Yeah.
get pumped, whoosh, because that's not fun. When
Yeah.
you have the training of it, you can explain it. And the girls and I have been on the beach many times. I'm like, all right, so this is how this works. This is where your ebb and flow is. This is where your rip current is. You're looking for this, you're looking for that. So I mean, once you get in it, and same with rivers. If you learn rivers, same thing. Learn what the eddy is. Learn what a strainer is. Learn what the standing wave is. All that stuff. I mean, if you have that knowledge going in, it's easier to teach. Now, the short version is put a life jacket on and then just swim easy water. There, a swimming pool. I mean, just one you can stick up on.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Perfect. Have you ever been in a situation with your kids where like you had to like rely on your search and rescue skills, or were you able to like train them in such a way from an early age where you never had to like get them out of a hairy situation?
Yeah, I can't think of any of it off the top of my head.
First dates, that kind of thing.
Oh, geez.
I'm kidding.
There was ones I might have put myself into and there were probably hairy situations. But no, as far as like wilderness, water, stuff like that, not totally. Now, every accidents happen. I remember one specific time. It was a 4th of July weekend. We were out playing supposedly like it was softball. We were just having a big softball game, and I was at the plate. I hit this mega high pop fly. My oldest daughter was playing second base. She's like, I got it. And she missed it hit the top of the glove, but then fell through and hit her like in the eye, busted her wide open. Oh. And it was like a douche, and it went quiet for a second, and then she's like, oh God, and she starts crying. I'm like, holy cow. So what does everybody do? Everybody rushes over. So I'm trying to get in there, and I'm like, back the up. And they were like, oh geez. And so everybody like takes a step back, and I'm like, all right, I'm evaluating. Yep. All right, let's go. We're going to the ER right now.
Yeah.
Whatever. But as far as getting them out of something, no. Getting them to medical care when medical care was needed, yes. Which happened?
It's like somebody said a term like a high-speed diesel injection or something like that.
Yeah.
Getting them out of the situation to like better care.
Yeah. Exactly. And then it's just an adrenaline dumping for all of us as far as fathers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I hate seeing the kids hurt. I hated seeing my girls hurt. Hated it.
Yeah.
So, but
at the same time, it's part of the learning experience, like getting hurt, dealing with it, all that. With our kids, even them being as young as they are, I don't know if this is going to be effective or not, but like if they put themselves into a hairy situation, I mean, outside of it being like a life or death one, I'm going to let them kind of figure it out, be there if they fall, or falling is like the biggest hazard right now. But if they do fall, like I make sure to like soften it, but they're still going to fall, and there's going to be like a little bit of a consequence. So they understand that there's a danger there versus like letting them do it and then just like removing them from danger, like let them experience that a little bit. So, you don't have to like continue learning that same,
Totally.
this is dangerous. Let's not get into it.
There they are. I hear them.
Yeah, here in the background. Nice. We already kind of talked about modeling discipline as a father for your daughters, and that like coming out of the military, that they kind of go hand in hand. And I really like what you said about the routine, and then how when you get outside of the routine, it's like really a treat. But then if there is no routine and you go outside of the norm, then it's really not a treat, because every day would be a little bit, it's just kind of like another day, because it's always a little different. I really like that. It helps to like make those special experiences stand out, whether it be camping or movie night or whatever. Are there any other examples of where you're passing on discipline to your children?
So my favorite, highly recommended, is wall squats.
Ooh.
Right? Now, here's how this works for you and everybody else. Okay. It only works until they're probably, I'm looking at my wife right now, 12 at most. Yeah, probably 12. But as a game, like, let's see who can sit on the wall the longest.
Yeah.
And make it a little competition between you and your kids. And the first one you have to win. You're not allowed to lose. You're not allowed I gotta emphasize that you're not allowed to lose against your kids. So they know that you just beat them, right?
Yeah.
So then the next couple times they win. So now, I got this. I beat Dad. Cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is now going to be your punishment. If I tell you, if you're in trouble, it's to the wall. I want a 1 minute wall squat. And that's it. Now, depending on the punishment, you might need to go a little longer. But the next time, and this is for everybody, next time you get an opportunity, go do a standard wall sit.
Yeah.
And stay in there and time yourself for 1 minute and tell me how your legs feel, right?
Not so good.
Now, it's great. It's awesome. There's no hitting, so there's no spankings. You know, there's no, you can't have your tablet, your phone. You can't lose TV. I just have a thumbs up. You can't. It's like it's a 1 minute punishment and you're done. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you need to go 2 minutes, you go 2 minutes. I mean, the nature of the crime depends on the
time to reflect about what they did.
Exactly. My favorite story with that,
and I like that better than like push-ups, because in push-ups you can't really reflect because you're active in it. But in a wall sit, like you're just sitting there like, man, this sucks. Like I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah. And then and your legs are just burning. They're just screwed. So, and
what do you do if they give up? Like give up early?
Oh, you start over.
Oh,
that's part of the military discipline right there, right?
Yeah.
You drop before 1 minute, the clock starts over. Go again. And now it's like, now what?
There's the right way in again.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try this again. Oh, you want to drop again? Cool.
Yeah.
Another minute. Let's go.
Oh,
so my favorite story with this, right? my girls, they remember this story vividly. And there's like a twist in the end too. It's making it even more fun. So do you remember the Go-Gurts? I don't even know if they're around.
Yeah, for sure. The little tube and
yeah, exactly. Go-Gurt.
Yeah.
So
you can like rub the thing and like a little picture would show up or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, my kids loved them. So I would go to BJ's, Costco, whatever store, and you buy the 1,000 pack bulk. Anyway, so I roll by the trash one day and there's an open Go-Gurt that's totally full. Like just open. One little bite and then thrown away. So I pull out the trash and I'm like, girls, come here. So whose is this? No, not mine, not mine, not mine. I'm like, so a Go-Gurt just magically opened itself, took one bite and threw itself away? I don't think so. I know it's not mine. I was like, I'll tell you what, let's just sit on the wall. Let's figure out whose it is.
Oh boy.
I kid you not. They went 5 minutes.
Whoa.
And I'm like, you're not getting off the wall until somebody tells me who it was. my youngest, Cameron, she's like, they're all crying. Fine, I'll eat it. I'll eat it. I'm like, oh my God, that's all I needed. That was it. It was done, right? 15 years later, I find out it was my middle's, Jalen's. She didn't want to admit that it was hers, and took the heat. I was like,
epic.
Man, what? So
I was hoping it was going to be your wife's.
No. It was the middle. But the youngest is like, I don't want to be here anymore. So as she's like eating the Go-Gurt, walking away,
she's like sobbing. Nice. She owned her sister's mistakes. She owes her one.
Yeah. But again, it only works until about they're 12, and then 12 they start to become a little more ornery and a little more adult-ish, or so they think.
Yeah. I was thinking planks could work too, but that wall sit, you have a little bit more endurance with your legs than you do with a plank.
And they're looking at you because you're staring at them on the wall.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
That's good.
And the leg, you got to be 90 degrees to the ground. So
parallel. Boy.
Yeah.
Yes. Great. I like that.
And the thing of it is I'll go a step further with that, is that even in sports, when I was coaching their teams, like basketball, if the kids weren't listening, everybody against the wall sit.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole sports team would have to do it. My girls would be laughing. I'm like, you guys are freaking wusses. You don't even know. So
they're like, I will be here forever. I will never lose this. I do this almost every day now.
Exactly.
I get in trouble a lot. Epic.
Great punishment. Great. It's a great reaction. So.
Yes. What about in public? Can you implement this one in public? Have you?
You can. They get a little more embarrassed. And then there's a little resentment there. But that's so you need to.
Or do you do it with them in public?
Yeah, it depends on what's going on. I'm not going to say I didn't do it to them, but I'm not going to say it was the smartest thing to do. And had I rethought it, it probably would have been, we're going to deal with this when we get home and walk out. So versus,
public humiliation. Yeah. Are there any stories that stand out that really shaped you as a father?
Oh my gosh, there's endless. Oh my gosh, we'd be here all night.
Well, let's talk about like the first one, the earliest one, where your kids were the youngest, where you had like an aha moment, like this is not my life as I know it is different now, other than like them being born, obviously. But
well, at one point, having all three of them in diapers, I was like, what am I doing? So outside of that,
I can empathize with you a little bit on that one.
Yeah, you totally can.
2/3 of the amount.
Yeah.
At least they're the same size.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it makes it a little easier when you go to the store. You're like, I just need that one.
I need 3, 4s, and 5s.
Yeah, right. Oh God,
that'll be $172. This will last me 2 weeks. Perfect.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't miss that at all. Not even a little bit. Sorry for all the new dads.
Yeah, is what it is.
I think that things, man, there's so many. When the girls started to be able to play and have fun, and all of a sudden you're teaching them how to play catch, and then you're watching them run for the first time, and then as you see the progression in not only life, but how they are progressing as a person.
Right.
It's very cool. And all three of my girls are very different. And when I tell you very different, they are very different. They are three completely different people, raised the same, but three very different people. And I appreciate that. And as long as me as a father can understand that all three of them are very different, they impact you different. So they impacted me in a different way. And God, there really are so many examples of the times when they cried for whatever reason. They got hurt, or they got this, or they got that. And it was just, they just needed a hug. I remember times just snuggling on the couch while we're
Yep.
watching our TV show, and they're just, their head is like kind of in your chest, and
Right.
they're just right. I remember bedtime stories and reading
Right.
bedtime stories. And then as they got older, my favorite was to watch and coach them, to then watch them succeed. I remember watching all three of the girls, or yeah, three of them played basketball. One of them or two of them played soccer, but as they like kick their first goal, score their first basket,
Yeah.
get their block, uh, oh gosh, it was just, our first hit when
Yeah.
they're playing softball. Cameron, my youngest, was a pitcher, so to watch her take the mound and start throwing a strike, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then it goes, right, and then just from there, and then boys come in the picture, and that sucks. But it's all right. No, it's all right. It's a natural part of life, and you just gotta embrace it. Okay,
Right.
just throwing that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so much. But the hugs, I loved getting a hug from my girls always.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Melt your heart.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Who's the risk taker of your three? Is it the middle one?
That would be Haley. That's the oldest.
Okay. She's risky.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Our oldest is also the risk taker.
Yeah.
We have a deck outside the house with 3 entrances on it, and then we hooked a gate to a wagon to like make it so it's a movable thing. But then the other 2 just have these like ripped pieces of plywood up blocking it. And we had our jack-o'-lanterns out and like run in the house real quick to like grab a bottle and then like come back out. And our little boy is standing on top of the jack-o'-lantern, like looking up and over the wooden barrier, and it's like almost like it's like right to his belly button, and we're like, oh my gosh, like you're going to fall over that and like go straight down the stairs, like no. And then like next thing you know, he's on top of the toilet, and we're like, how did you get up there? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then our little girl, she is a little bit, I think she has a little bit less fear, but I think she takes less risk, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
But yeah, she's definitely not as fearful of
that would be my
much.
youngest.
Yeah.
Our youngest is like she's kind of funny. I remember one of the first times she went on a rope swing, and she was so scared to swing out over the water and then let go. So scared. And her sister's already done it. Like Haley went, Jalen went, and then Cameron I'm like, look at all you gotta do is just start here. So we started like, just put your knee in or just sit in it and swing out. And then from there, okay, then now you know what it feels like. Now you're just gonna let go. Once she did it, you couldn't stop her. She's like, I just want to keep going. Like, no, you have to come in for dinner. Like, come on.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it sounds like you, for the most part, I'm sure you had your trials and tribulations, but you made it an effort to like absolutely crush it as a father. And these stories kind of show that. But let's switch it up a little bit and talk about your wife. So we know that you had a crazy schedule and you tried to be there with your girls. I'm sure your wife is included in that, but did you find it difficult to make time for just the 2 of you, since you already were balancing a crazy schedule and it was so important for you to spend time with your daughters? How did you tackle that?
So a lot of that, I got to give mad credit to my wife. She made a lot of that happen. We made it a priority that when I came home, we would have a night to dinner, just us. We'd get some babysitting stuff, and at that point, I had already spent time with the girls, and then now it's our turn. Like, now we're gonna go to dinner. As the girls got older, it got kind of funny. They always had homework, friends, and work. So later, or sports, or something else. Like it was always something. Their schedule was madhouse, and it was funny because they would always be like, you know what? They do this now, even at 20 years old. They're like, well, I just want you home. Well, no, you don't want me home. You just want me there to the comfort of knowing that I'm right there so you can come here anytime you want. That's what they want. They don't really care that you're home. They don't want to be home with you. They want to be out with their son. But when something comes up, they want to be able to come home. And then again, the safe space behind dad, behind mom, like safe space. So that's funny. That was them growing up later. But in between, so I mean, Mel and I have been together for almost 14 years now. So we just made it a point to have a date night. We would go out and have a date night. Hey, kids are gonna go here. We're going out for dinner. So and it worked. Yeah, it worked well. Yeah.
Nice. Any other challenges as a husband and or father that come right to the top of your brain?
Yeah. So and a lot of dads can relate to this, going through divorce is hard, and it's hard on kids. The best advice that I could give anybody is do everything you can not to put your kids in the middle. They want to see dad and they want to see mom.
Okay.
Even though you're mad and hate each other, like they love both of you.
Right.
There's no getting around that. Like you're not going to make your kid hate your ex anything. Yeah. So that's the best part of that one. Outside of that, be there for everything you possibly can be. Your kids will drive you crazy at times, and they will be the best part of your life at times. You have to do both. It's you can't have one without the other. It just doesn't happen. So I remember getting in arguments with my daughters. I remember yelling at them. I remember very vivid times where I was beyond mad and needed to literally walk away altogether. I can probably give you a story with each of them. And actually I will, you know what? Because I can. Yeah. And again, this is just one story, so it doesn't paint the full picture, but my oldest, she turned into a little bit of a rebel getting later in life. She knows it too. So she's listening to this, she'll be like, oh yeah, there it was. And her and I got into bad words. And we didn't talk for probably 2 months. And it was ugly. It was ugly. And I remember to bring that back because I missed her. And I didn't, it's hard to be the bigger person. You know, you have to be the bigger person because you're dealing with a teenager. And I remember writing a card, and this is from Pastor Stephen, our pastor through Elevation Church. You probably know it. Hey,
I do.
So he talked about it, fixing relationships. And this is for anybody else that might have a bad relationship with their kid. Write him a letter, give him a card. You don't have to say anything. Just give him a card. Tell a story and just hand it to him. You don't have to say anything. Because I'm still mad at Haley. Yeah, I handed it to her and she's like, I was like, here, this is for you. Yeah. And she's like, thanks. And I was like, see you. And when I said, I'll see you later, and I went to walk away, she's like, oh, Dad, how are you? How you been? And it started that little conversation. I was like, I'm good. You and I will talk later. Right now, have a great night. And that was it. Jalen was younger. She was in 8th grade, and her and I had words because, again, divorced parents. We had a trip to go back to Massachusetts for the summer to be with my family and whatnot. And she decided, nope, I'm not going that summer. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, that's not an option. Well, apparently to a 11, 12 years old, it is an option. It was an option. Yeah. And she won the battle. And I was mad. I was mad. Why? Because I had paid for an airline ticket that she's like, no, I'm not going. I'm like, wait, no. This isn't an option. Yeah, well, it turned into be an option. Oh, all that smoothed out too. I got back. I was like, you know what? And I don't know how her summer went. I know mine, Jalen, or mine, Haley, and Cameron's was awesome. Yeah. So it was fantastic. Yeah. So Cameron, my youngest, this is a quick one, which was she's at my grandmother's house or her grandmother's house, my mom's house. And she got cold. We're in there in the middle of winter up in New England. She cranks the heat up. Well, when she cranked the heat up in the house, she ran the oil tank out of oil. Oh, so, no. Now the house is like freezing. Well, to make it even worse, it's a holiday weekend because it's around Christmas time, New Year's or whatever. There's a snowstorm, so there's a straight up like nor'easter coming, and it was awful. And I'm literally trying to drive to the only gas station's open that has diesel fuel that I can dump into the tank to get to get heat in the house. And that same day, I ordered a load of firewood to dump in the snow that we had to stack and load in so we could make sure the house was heated. And all of that, she's giving me attitude. And I was like, this is your fault. You're stacking wood. And I threw her outside, and then I walked outside with her. And other than those 3 times, I think everything was all good. So
all good. Only all 3 good. Situations ever.
Yeah.
Everything else is perfect. I love it. Yeah. Well, man, I want to keep this conversation rocking and rolling, but I don't want to keep your wife up too terribly long. Let's go ahead and get her on here.
So this is my sweet Melissa.
Hello, Wesley.
Nice to meet
you. Good to meet you. Good to meet you as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For joining us. So this will be the first time that we've gotten it live. Normally the wife writes it and I read it. So I'm so stoked. But this is going to be, the question is, what makes your husband an inspirational father?
So thank you for sending me that question ahead of time and not just throwing it at me right now.
No, it's laying you to the wolves.
Well, it was one of those questions when I got it, you start sitting there and reminiscing and you start thinking about, okay, what can I say? And I really felt like I was writing wedding vows again. Like, how do you put every memory and emotion into one story or one answer? Are you reading what I wrote?
No.
So like I emailed you, I just started typing and I don't know how long the wives' answers usually are.
Varies.
It varies. So I mean, you can cut me off if you need to, because I typed a bit.
Cool. Less than 30 pages.
Oh, yes. And I wasn't listening to your part of the conversation, so I don't know what stories you've already told or
good ones.
Yeah,
wall
good
sits.
ones.
Lots of wall sits.
Throwing Cameron in the snow. I did hear that one.
Yeah.
And we really don't need to talk about Haley as a teenager.
We might have touched on that.
Yeah, I heard that. We don't need to go into that anymore.
The risk taker and rebel child.
Caveat: all 3 of these girls are absolutely amazing. They are doing amazing things in their life right now, and
no doubt.
If you don't have a bump in the road with your kid, then congratulations. Yeah. But there's nobody I know that hasn't had at least one bump in the road with their kid.
For sure.
You get past it. So I think we did a good job.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
You asked me what makes my husband inspirational. You have met him, so he's pretty cool. Yeah. But what's really funny is we have a rescue swimmer, like total muscle, 6'4", who was given $3.
Yeah.
So he's pretty inspirational. All right. So I could go on and on about Jason as a dad. So I'm just going to read what I wrote.
Please.
All right. There's absolutely no one else that I would want alongside on this journey of raising these girls. I'm blessed, and the girls are blessed. They're beyond blessed to have such a solid father. At times, the days felt very, very long, but overall, the years went by far too quickly. And Jason was our rock, our inspiration, and our constant, even when he was traveling, which happened quite often. I truly don't know where to begin to capture all that is Jason as a dad. We've always said God first, spouse second, children third. If we didn't have a solid relationship with the Lord and a rock solid marriage, how could we be the parental figures and role models that the girls deserved? We wanted the girls to know the value of the Lord, and we also wanted them to know how a man should love and treat a woman. The number one person to do that is your dad. He must be the model of how he treats his wife, the way he speaks to her, the way he helps around the house and with family, and the way a husband and a wife communicate, the encouragement and support. We strive to be all of that so the girls had high expectations in their relationships. And as I'm reading that and thinking about it, one of our girls would always say, after bringing her boyfriends around us, she would want to break up with them because she would realize that they weren't as solid as us. So I think we did a good job.
Oh no. That's good, but man, poor guys.
Yeah. You know what? Step up.
Set the bar high.
High.
Jason has been and continues to be an exceptional husband. Raising girls, I have prayed endlessly that they find a husband who respects them and loves them like Jason respects and loves me. We also have had many highs and many lows throughout the years, like every human being, let alone a parent. Whenever we hit a low, an obstacle, a struggle, etc., Jason has risen to the challenge. Our girls know with 100% certainty that whenever they need their dad, he's there. It doesn't matter if it's a small issue or a life-changing issue. All three of the girls know that not only is their dad there for them, but he will be their rock and has their back. Don't get me wrong, he'll call them out if it's called for, but they always know that dad is their safe space. To quote the movie Grease, the only guy a girl can depend on is her daddy. Of course, we hope and pray that they find the love that they can depend on. We want that for them, but until the day he dies, the one thing that will always be true is that the girls can always depend on Jason. He's the type of dad that enjoys being in the company of his children. We've always wanted to give them as many experiences as we could so that they were open to the many things that the world has to offer them. Jason's brain is always on. What can we do next? Whether it was swimming in the river, camping, road trips, mission trips, trips to the pumpkin patch, or going to Disney, or taking a family cruise, it's always been a priority to give the girls an adventure. My husband was an amazing dad in the smallest of moments. When the girls were little, he thought it was important to give them moments where they felt like they had control. I would find him cooking one of them pancakes for breakfast. Another one would be having an omelet, while the third would be having a waffle. He didn't care that it was more work for him. He cared that they felt like they had a choice in a moment when he had the time to give them the feeling of control. And he did that a lot. When the school would send home assignments that required decorating a poster or doing a project, it was game on. And it helped the girls make something that they were proud of. In the fall, we had apple trees in our yard that would give us a plethora of apples. Jason and the girls had the tradition of making pies for every teacher. Think 7 teachers for each girl in high school. They would make homemade applesauce. We would carve pumpkins, and he would be the one baking the seeds for snacks. Those are the moments that they talk about now as the things that they miss. One of our girls was a homecoming candidate in high school. Jason dressed up as her security detail.
Nice.
We did.
And he went to the homecoming rally with her. He stood behind her like he was her security guard, and the kids loved it. Our girls always had the fun dad, which always cracked me up because he's 6'4" and full of muscles, yet I was the scary one. He was always the fun dad, the one that all the kids wanted around, but he was strict. The girls knew when dad meant business. Yeah. Jason loves having 3 daughters. One of the girls was a cheerleader, starting in middle school and just stopping after 2 seasons in college. Jason was the loud dad in the stands, dancing to the cheer routine and proudly wearing his "I'm a cheer dad" t-shirt.
Yes.
Need someone to MC the cheer competition? Of course, Jason did that. If he was home, because he worked away from the house a lot, but if he was home, he was 100% involved in these events. Our oldest played basketball and ran cross country. Jason would go to practice with her. He would go running with her. Or he would practice with her, he would run with her, but then he would even go watch her practice.
Nice.
Haley always wanted us to go watch her practice. No one wants to watch her practice, but dad would go.
Nice.
And then when Haley was a senior, we saw something and we talked about it, and Jason decided that he was going to go walk the girls into school on their final day of senior year. And he told them, I walked you in on your first day. I'm going to walk you in on your last day. And he did for all of them. And they all loved it. Dad was walking me in.
Yeah.
Nice.
over and over again, it's those small memories. But Jason showed the girls love, that they were a priority, and that they could always rely on him. It was in the small moments, the hard times, and the constant, that love, that Jason built solid foundations for the girls. If I had to pick someone to do it all over again with, I would pick Jason hands down.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Yeah.
Epic. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, when you have 3 girls, you look at what you want for them, and a dad is so important. And
Yes.
I had an amazing dad. I'm so lucky for the dad I have. And I'm so glad the girls have that too, because it impacts them in every avenue of their adulthood.
100%. 100%. All right. We got Serafina and Sebastian.
Oh,
anyway, as we wrap things up, Jason, anything that any last thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Do everything you can to be a part of your kid's life. I know there's struggles, it's hard, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's what makes it so important, because when you're there, it just, the kids will have memories of you. And then they'll have things to roast you on later, which makes it even more fun.
Yeah. She thinks you're funny.
Yeah.
Funny. It's funny, huh? Okay, now comes the dad challenge. So this can be anything from fitness to relationships to your kids, social, outdoors, whatever you can dream of, think of. Go ahead. You got to challenge our dads, and they got to participate until the next one.
I think my challenge for all the dads out there is the same thing that I challenge myself to all the time. And that is work on giving your kids an adventure and work on being that first time experience. Even though you've experienced it multiple times, be the first experience and live that first experience through them. That's what I say.
Epic.
Yeah.
Give them an adventure. I love it.
Yeah.
And is there a best way, if something really resonated with somebody and they want to reach out to you on a topic, that we can get, that would be best for us to reach out? Email, Instagram.
Heck yeah, all of them. So the Real Rescue, RESQ, that's the Instagram, Jason at therealrescue.com. Yeah, I'm out there. You can find me for sure. So anytime. As a matter of fact, if somewhere in there, we'll link it up. Email us. I'm available. I'm happy to sit down and talk about kids and raising them and the good times and the bad. So they're all.
And I want to keep this conversation going. We've hit on a lot of topics, and everything. There's a lot of things that have really resonated, and I'd like to dive a little deeper if you'd be willing. So
absolutely, anytime.
I am out of time for today, and I so appreciate you doing this and staying up late. And I can't wait to chat again soon. And thank you to your lovely wife for coming on and reading that. That was awesome.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Well, thank you again, and hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Whenever. Let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Inspired Fathers. My name is Wesley Rhoads, and you've been listening to the Inspired Father podcast. I hope you found inspiration from this episode, and also hope that you'll subscribe and join us next time on the Inspired Father podcast.